Welcome to the Deep Dive by 5W Media. Today we're plunging into a really fascinating and, well, spooky topic based on the sources you shared with us. The ghost stories of Missouri.
Yeah, we've got quite a collection here. Everything from, historical accounts of supposedly haunted places right through to some pretty chilling personal stories people have shared online, local legends.
Right. So our mission today is basically to dig through all this material and pull out the most compelling stuff, the best ghostly tales Missouri has to offer.
Think of it as a shortcut, maybe. A way to get familiar with some of the state's most spirited spots and stories.
Exactly. With hopefully a few chills along the way. Okay, let's unpack this and maybe get a little spooky.
Okay, so a really compelling place to start, I think, has to be the Missouri State Penitentiary in Jefferson City. Its whole vibe, the history,
Yeah.
it just screams ghost stories.
Oh, absolutely. The walls, right. Or even the bloodiest 47 acres in America. I mean, that nickname alone tells you something intense went down there.
It really does. And it was the oldest continuously operating prison west of the Mississippi when it finally shut down in 2004.
God.
Long history.
Opened way back, didn't it? Like 1836.
Yeah, 1836. Started small, just 15 prisoners initially, but it grew a lot. Eventually holding something like 5,200 inmates at its peak.
And it wasn't exactly a quiet place. The sources mention riots. A really big one in 1954, apparently. Murders, escape attempts.
Yeah, a very volatile environment. You can just imagine the kind of energy that might, linger.
Definitely. And the people who were incarcerated there, some major names.
Oh, for sure. We're talking infamous figures. Pretty Boy Floyd, Blanche Barrow from the Bonnie and Clyde gang.
Right. And Sonny Liston learned to box there, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And James Earl Ray, who assassinated Martin Luther King Jr., he was there. Even escaped for a bit.
Wow. Knowing all that,
Yeah.
it really sets the stage for the paranormal stuff people report now that it's closed and they do tours there.
It absolutely does. And the reports are, well, they're numerous. People talk about feeling touched, when no one's there. Ugh.
Yeah. Or smelling this really strong, unpleasant body odor smell that just appears, and actual apparitions.
Like seeing figures.
A man seen on the catwalks is one report, and this other one, they call him Fast Jack.
Fast Jack. Okay, tell me about Fast Jack. That sounds specific.
Well, the descriptions are usually of a man in a white lab coat, maybe holding a clipboard, kind of like an old-timey orderly or medic, maybe.
Huh. Weird. Do they know who he might have been? Or why he's seen?
Not really clear. Could be tied to the prison hospital, maybe, or just, a symbolic figure. But the stories about him are interesting.
Like what?
Well, there's this one account from a tour guide. Left the control center for just a minute, came back, and apparently all the lockers were wide open.
Whoa. And they blame Fast Jack.
That's the story, yeah, attributed to him. It's that kind of subtle but really unsettling thing.
Totally. That's exactly the kind of thing that would freak me out. And it's not just sightings, right? Other stuff happens. Right. Equipment malfunctions are common on tours. Cameras stop working, batteries drain, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And disembodied voices. People capture EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, on recorders. Unexplained whispers or words.
Okay, EVPs creep me out. And the feeling of being watched or touched.
Yeah, and that really unnerving feeling like someone invisible is right behind you, like breathing down your neck.
Nope. Don't like that.
And we absolutely have to talk about cell #48. That spot seems to be a real hot spot.
Cell #48. Right. That is a particularly dark story, doesn't it? Something about the 1854 riot.
Exactly. A prisoner who is supposedly an informant, the snitch, was, he was bludgeoned to death in that cell during the riot. A really brutal end.
You can only imagine what that room has soaked up, energetically speaking.
And people report feeling it. Strange, heavy feelings when they go in there. Some people just can't stay.
I believe it.
And get this, some claim they've actually caught what looks like an unearthly human figure on camera inside cell #48.
Seriously, like a photo.
That's what the sources suggest, yeah. A really stark reminder of the violence. And the penitentiary. It's a classic example. Dark history, intense emotions, and tons of ghost stories.
Definitely sets a high bar for haunted Missouri. Okay, so where do we go next? Here's where it gets really interesting.
Let's shift gears a bit, maybe move to St. Louis, to the Lemp Mansion. Different kind of vibe, but just as steeped in, tragedy.
The Lemp Mansion. The Brewers, right? Famous St. Louis family, but with a lot of sadness, suicide, strange deaths.
Exactly. And that history has given the mansion this long-standing reputation for being haunted. Seriously haunted.
And we have some firsthand accounts for this one, too, from Reddit, she said.
Yeah, some really interesting personal stories popped up in the sources, which is cool. It gives you that sort of ground level perspective, not just the official history, but what people actually experience.
Right, like the difference between the institutional feel of the prison and this, which is more a personal tragedy.
Precisely. So one person mentioned taking a ghost tour, and the guide really knew their stuff, like all the details about the murders, the creepy events.
Having a knowledgeable guide must make it way more intense.
Definitely adds to the atmosphere. And people on these tours report things happening to them, like one story about a door. Had the key, wouldn't open, just wouldn't budge.
Great.
Then, moments later, tried again, worked perfectly fine, no reason.
Weird. That's subtle, but yeah, weird.
Another one mentioned feeling overwhelmingly sick, like intense nausea in one specific room. But the second they stepped out of the room, gone. Instantly felt fine.
Whoa. That's more physical. Could it be something environmental, like mold or...
Maybe. Or maybe not. It's the suddenness, the specificity to one room that makes people wonder,
Makes sense. What else?
There was a really vivid account from someone on the third floor. They described this sudden, intense cold air hitting them, started shivering uncontrollably.
Even if it wasn't cold in the house.
Right. Said it was hot, middle of June, no air conditioning up there. But they felt freezing, got goosebumps, tingling scalp, and could actually see their breath.
Okay, seeing your breath when it's hot. That's pretty compelling evidence something strange is going on.
It's hard to explain away, that's for sure. And then there are smaller things, too. Someone stayed there alone overnight.
Brave.
Haha, yeah. And they just reported some pamphlets mysteriously falling off a shelf. Seems minor, but when you're alone in a place like that.
Yeah, everything feels amplified, I bet.
And there are even rumors, about a room that's so haunted, they don't even rent it out anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
They just keep it closed off.
That's the talk, yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It really does. So the Lem Mansion's hauntings seem tied more to the family's personal tragedies, suicides, that kind of thing, compared to the prison's sort of mass suffering.
Exactly. It's a different flavor of haunting, maybe more emotionally charged. So what does this all mean for our understanding of haunted places in Missouri?
Well, it seems like the type of history matters, doesn't it? Whether it's institutional violence or deep family sorrow, it shapes the stories.
I think so. And these are just two examples. The sources you gave us mentioned a ton of other places across Missouri. It's like a haunted road trip waiting to happen.
Okay, let's do a quick tour then. What else popped up?
Well, there's the Landers Theater in Springfield. Old theaters often have ghost stories, right? Restless spirits from past productions, maybe.
Makes sense. Performers leaving their mark.
And just general mentions, too, like hauntings reported in Benton County and over in Columbia. Seems widespread.
What about that weird light thing? The spook light.
Yeah, the Devil's Promenade or the Hornet Spook Light. That's a classic Missouri mystery. This weird bobbing light.
And someone saw it.
Yeah, a Reddit story mentioned seeing it near Joplin, described it as bright, moving weirdly, changing colors, natural phenomenon, or something else. That's the debate.
Always is with those kinds of lights. What else in St. Louis? Besides Lemp?
The Haunted Bissell Mansion gets a mention, Bethlehem Cemetery too, and just the phrase ghosts of Greater St. Louis kind of suggests there are stories all over that area.
Seems like St. Louis is a real hub.
It does, but moving out a bit, there's the historic Elms Hotel in Excelsior Springs. That one sounds interesting.
What's the story there?
Multiple ghosts reported, a maid apparently, and a guy in 1920s clothes seen in the basement, which is now a lap pool.
Oh, ghostly swimming.
Maybe. And another ghost there supposedly gets mad, throws things, pulls hair, maybe linked to a lost child.
No, it's sad.
Yeah. And get this, there was a big fire there in 1910, started at 1:30 a.m. People still report hearing pipes clanging around that exact time.
Whoa, anniversary haunting, that's specific.
And mysterious calls from empty rooms.
Yeah.
Classic hotel haunting stuff.
Okay, creepy hotel, check. What else?
Independence gets mentioned for hauntings. The legend of Bone Hill in Lavassie sounds like a local spooky tale. A specific haunting reported in Union, Missouri, too.
So it's not just the big cities.
Not at all. And for history buffs, there's Wilson Creek and Bloody Hill near Springfield, site of a big Civil War battle.
Ah, battlefield ghosts. That's a common theme.
Very common. Reports of seeing soldiers, apparitions, hearing gunfire, cannons, footsteps, voices in the woods. Especially Confederate soldiers, apparently.
Makes you think about history leaving an imprint, doesn't it?
It really does. How traumatic events might just echo.
Okay, let's talk about these haunted B&Bs.
Yeah.
Seems like Missouri has a few.
It does. The Rosebud Inn in Cape Girardeau, supposedly haunted by a guy named Alex who wanted to buy it but died in the attic, possibly suicide.
Grim. And what happens there?
People smell cigar smoke when no one's smoking, objects move around, and some have even claimed to see Alex's ghost.
Okay. Then there was one investigated by a TV show.
Right, the Prosperity School Bed and Breakfast in Joplin. Ghost hunters went there, lots of claims. EVPs, shadow figures.
Shadow figures are always creepy.
Uh-huh. And a little girl in Victorian clothes seen on the 4th floor. And one wild story about a guest literally fighting with a ghost trying to turn the water off.
Fighting a ghost, that's...
Commitment or desperation. And the manager heard music from an empty room. Just lots of activity reported there.
Then Hannibal has one too.
The Garden House Bed and Breakfast. Less dramatic, maybe, but still weird. Guests waking up between 2 and 3 a.m. for no reason. A fan turning off by itself. Subtle stuff.
Sometimes the subtle stuff is creepier.
It can be. And the Walnut Street Inn in Springfield, guests seeing ghosts of people who used to live there.
Seems like if you stay in a Missouri B&B, you might get more than breakfast.
Huh, could be. Then there's one that really leans into it. The Oddfellows home at Belvoir Winery in Liberty. They call themselves a haunted hotel.
Oh, really? Embracing the spooky.
Totally. They have named skeletons, like one called George, a big cemetery right there, and tons of reports. Pianos playing alone, noises, footsteps, kids singing nursery rhymes.
Okay, singing ghost children. Maximum creep factor.
Right. Flashing lights, doors opening and closing, shadow figures. It's got the whole haunted checklist, ghost adventures, and kindred spirits, both investigated.
Sounds like they put on a show, haunted or not.
Seems like it. Even farms aren't safe. Longview Farm in Kansas City.
What's the story there?
The ghost of Lula Longcombs, the founder's daughter, who was a famous equestrian, people see her riding her horse.
On the farm.
Yeah, and apparently students at the nearby college campus sometimes hear horse hooves when there are no horses around, and her bed once reportedly unmade itself.
Ghost horses and messy ghosts. Got it.
Then there's Swope Memorial in KC, linked to Thomas Swope's mysterious death, maybe poisoning, potential lingering bad vibes there.
And what about local legends, like Crybaby Hollow?
Oh yeah, Crybaby Hollow near Crocker, classic roadside legend. Glowing eyes in the rearview mirror, sounds of a baby crying, handprints or scratches appearing on your car, car trouble. And someone on Reddit actually shared a story saying, yeah, that stuff happened to them there.
Always interesting when someone backs up the legend.
It is. St. Mary's Episcopal Church in KC, ghost of a former priest, Henry Jardine, supposedly haunts the 2nd floor. They even got an EMF hit near where he was supposedly buried.
EMF meters. Always part of the ghost hunter toolkit.
Yep. Blackwell Road has a reputation, too. Sounds of tires peeling out, but no car. Locals apparently try to chase people off. Legends of a haunted cemetery, a girl's empty grave, cars dying on a bridge. Sounds like a whole cluster of weirdness.
Seems like some places just attract these stories.
It does seem that way. Even a Catholic retreat in St. Louis, the White House retreat, has ties to the Exorcist story. And Cliff Cave, native legends about bad spirits there.
Wow. Old legends.
Then there's Bubbleheads Road in North St. Louis County, an urban legend about a family with hydrocephalus tied to reports of cars acting up, general spookiness, probably based on some real family, unfortunately, twisted into a legend.
That's often how urban legends start, isn't it?
Yeah, sadly. The spook light comes up again near Kenneth Joplin. Molly Crenshaw Grave in St. Charles, probably just a dare spot for kids. The Purina Building in St. Louis, site of an old Civil War prison and medical college. So ghosts of prisoners and illegally dissected bodies. Double whammy.
Charmy.
Right? The Gates of Hell legend over near Collinsville, Illinois, driving under bridges in the right order at midnight sends you to hell. Rumors of KKK stuff, occult rituals.
Okay, that's getting into darker territory.
Yeah.
Acid Bridge, named for a suicide jump. Zombie Road, another classic spooky name. Laughing Lake, apparently gone now. Even the City Museum in St. Louis has rumors about the 3rd floor being haunted, maybe tied to exorcism artifacts.
Man, that was a whirlwind tour. Missouri seems packed with these places. What stands out to you about this huge list?
It's the sheer variety, honestly. You've got prisons, mansions, hotels, roads, cemeteries, theaters, even farms. And the stories range from, full apparitions and physical interactions to just weird feelings or sounds.
Yeah, it's not just one kind of haunting. It's like the whole spectrum is represented somewhere in Missouri. A mix of history, tragedy, local folklore. Exactly. It paints this picture of a state where the past, especially the unsettling parts of the past, feels very present, still echoing.
We've definitely barely scratched the surface here, even with all those examples from the sources you provided. The Show Me State really does seem to show you some ghosts, huh?
It certainly seems to have its fair share of spooky tales, whether you're looking for historical hauntings or just a creepy personal story.
It's clear that Missouri's ghost stories offer a lot, no matter what kind of spooky stuff interests you. From the big, famous places to those little local legends.
Absolutely. Something for everyone. Who likes being spooked, anyway?
If you like what you are hearing from us, please subscribe. Also, if you would like and share this video, it helps us tremendously and means so much to us. Please also leave a comment. We want to know what you think and value ideas you might have for future podcasts.
Yeah, let us know what you thought, or if you have your own Missouri ghost story. We hope this deep dive gave you a little taste of the state's haunted side, maybe inspired you to look into some of these places, carefully, of course.
Thanks for tuning in.